Good evening and welcome to the November 17th regular school board meeting. Can I have roll call?
You can. Director Connard.
Present.
Cooney.
Present.
DeBeat.
Present.
LaRue.
Present.
Phillips.
Present.
Schneider.
Present.
Schur.
Present.
Thank you. Please join me standing to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Welcome to all of our visitors and media representatives. Next item will be our student school board representative report.
Good evening. We're so honored to be back for another month to share with you what's been going on at the high school. So let's get started. Muscatine High School Student Council held its annual Canball tournament, which is where teams of 6 to 8 males compete in a volleyball tournament to raise money and collect cans. It was a great way to kick off our fall food drive, which runs through November 25th. We raised $155 for local charities and collected 155 non-perishable food items. Seniors Andy Frankie, Eric Romo, Saxby Stein, Jordan Meeker, Jack Zorich, Seth Ryland, and Nate Lucarian won the tournament title. The MHS Can Drive will continue until November 25th after the Mr. Muscatine pageant, where male seniors compete in a beauty pageant-like competition. So far, the MHS Student Council has collected almost 1,000 cans for those in need after just 1 week. The MHS Boosters has picked their cake auction theme, Cake or Fake, which features realistic cakes that resemble everyday items. The MHS Drama Department performed their show 39 Steps last week and will be holding auditions for their musical Guys and Dolls on December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. The National Honor Society inducted over 50 new members yesterday in the MHS auditorium. And last for activities, the MHS Student Council has been communicating with students at the University of Iowa to host a dance marathon. A dance marathon raises money for children suffering from cancer at the University of Iowa's Children's Hospital. A proposed date for the marathon is March 28th, so stay on the lookout for information on that soon.
4 juniors on Muscatine High School's football team were recently named honorable mention all-district in Class 5A District 6. Defensive linemen Sean Eagle, linebackers Caleb Galt and Colin Glenn, and receiver tight end James Roberts were recognized. Muscatine High School senior Lily Gray was also selected to the Iowa Girls Coaches Association Academic All-State Volleyball Team. For an individual to be eligible, they must be a senior and have a cumulative GPA of 3.85, ACT score of 27 or higher, and class rank in the top 5%. Additionally, the Mississippi Athletic Conference released its all-league selections for volleyball. Muscatine junior Belle Seaman was a second-team section, while senior Lily Gray and junior Juliana Montez were honorable mention. Muscatine won its opening round match of the postseason before seeing its season end against state qualifier Dowling Catholic in a regional semifinal. Muscatine High School swim team qualified for events for last week's Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union's state meet at the Dubuque Regional. Freshman Tinley Michael, who attends school at Louisa Muscatine, advanced in the 100 butterfly and the 100 backstroke in season best times. Muscatine's 200 medley freestyle relay include freshman Tinley Michael, seniors Bryn Castle, Cameron Jepkis, and Era Boyer, also junior Birdie Engelkheimer, senior Maya Simpson, senior Era Boyer, and freshman Tinley Michael also competed the 400 relay. Practices have started for winter sports at MHS. There is a girls wrestling meet at North Scott and bowling match at home tomorrow, a girls wrestling meet on Saturday, and a girls basketball team meet next Tuesday at MHS.
That's it. Thank you. Any questions for them?
I would like to say one thing on there, and that is being a parent of a former cancer patient, that as a 6-year-old, we went to many of the dance marathons. And I can tell you it is a wonderful event. The amount of money that's raised is just always unbelievable. And even sometimes more important in a way is just all of the kids working together and wanting to be able to help with this, and the cancer patients get a chance to be able to go around with all the college kids, you know, all night long and stuff. So thank you for anything that you do along with that.
We've been trying to host one for a while now, but it's a lot of work to put one on.
It is.
But the administration at the high school has been really good at helping us through the process. So.
Yep. So thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you. The next item on our agenda is our citizens speak. If anyone would like to approach the podium and speak, you have 3 minutes per Iowa code. The board may not respond. Do we have anyone? All right. Next is our fiscal year 25 audit review. We'll have Tom approach the podium.
Okay, so tonight we're going to be presenting the FY25 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or ACFR. It's also known as the Audit Report, for approval later on the agenda. So earlier last week, I had emailed the board the complete the PDF copy, and I do have hard copies over here if you do want to take one with you, or if you need a hard copy, I do have those available to you. So I also sent off just a little bit of an instruction, because I know it's a big report, but I sent a few bullet points on how to read the audit report. So we did have our audit committee meeting. We had it that Monday, November 3rd. And I want to thank the audit committee for their knowledge and insight on the audit and the audit process. They're familiar with how audits work, you know, in their own companies or maybe in their business or something. The names are Vicki, Becky, Adam Miller, Bill Harper, Mike Eversmeyer, and Matt Connard was there too. So before approving and placing this on file, Mia Frommelt is here from Bonesack and Frommelt. She's our school district audit. She's a partner with the Bonesack and Frommelt, and she's going to present just a brief overview for you guys on how the process went this week. So, turn it over to Mia.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. As Tom mentioned, we did have a robust conversation in the audit committee meeting, and so I have summary comments tonight. I am happy to take any questions you might have. This is a summary of just some required communications for tonight. First was to point out the deliverables from the audit. We have a bound audit report, which has all of your financial information and a lot of good summary information and statistical information. And then 2 audit letters are issued as part of the audit. One is a board communication letter that just summarizes the audit for you. And then last is what's called a control deficiency letter. That's just comments we observe as we're on site that are not raised to a finding level. It's just provided for your information. We do 3 audits: a financial statement audit over all of the financial fund transactions of the district. We also perform an audit of government auditing standards, which looks at internal controls and also compliance with laws and regulations and agreements. And we perform a federal single audit, which is an audit of your major federal programs. In this case, it would be the child nutrition program. I have pending next to that the federal government is required to issue an audit program every year for auditors to follow when they're auditing federal grants. And that has not yet been issued for 2025. So we've done the work based on last year's program, and we don't anticipate any issues, but we can't issue it yet until that becomes final. There was a big change this year under significant estimates, and I just wanted to point this out to you. The Accounting Standards Board that sets the accounting standard requirements for school districts issued a new standard on how to account for compensated absences. Compensated absences are vacation, sick, personal, they're anything that's a leave benefit. That accounting change required a restatement to beginning equity of the district, and also now requires a new way to calculate and report those leave benefits. And just wanted to let you know that at the end of fiscal year 2025, those total leave benefits meant a liability of about $6.7 million to be recorded in the financial statements of the district. Note 15 of the bound document that has all the financial statements, that explains that restatement and what that all meant for the district. I also want to mention that that is not unusual. That amount of a liability was not unusual in an Iowa school district of your size. That's what we are seeing consistently. In terms of audit results, it's really nothing but good things to report. Your financial statements have an unmodified opinion, a clean opinion. They follow the accounting principles that were required to be followed. There are no findings in internal controls. We had no findings when we were testing compliance with state laws and regulations and agreements. We are required to provide some information in a regulatory report in Part 4, none of which was significant, but we're required to provide. Oh, thank you. Start talking and then and then in terms of that federal audit that we're still waiting to say we can final it, as I mentioned, we went ahead and did the audit. We audit internal controls over the nutrition program, and we audit compliance with the nutrition program. There were no matters to report, no findings to report tonight. So, good report card. Are there any questions on the year-end audit?
Just thank you again for the service you provide our district, and also Tom and staff. Another excellent year, and you guys are always well prepared. And the audit committee is one of the best committees. If anybody's looking to be on a committee, I would take the audit committee. But no, thank you.
I was planning to say the same thing, but I think we do have very robust and strong finance committee and also department under Tom. So thank you for making sure that everything is recorded according to the law and according to the accounting principles. And thank you for doing that audit too.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. It's always a pleasure to work with Tom and his business office. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll move on to our consent agenda. I have to figure out how to delete the sticky notes, sorry. The following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Education and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the director so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence from the agenda. This is the minutes of October 13th meeting, bills and claims, and then the third and final reading of board policy and open meetings and stock prescriptions medication supply. What are the wishes of the board?
Make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Perfect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the next items requiring our action is to accept the official report of votes abstract for Director at Large from the Muscatine County Auditor Action. We'll need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion on those? All right, all in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And approve and place on file the fiscal year 25 audit. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We just discussed that, so probably not. All in favor of approval, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. That That is our last agenda item. Do we just move right into adjourning?
Yes.
Make a motion to
Yes.
adjourn?
Okay, take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
So before you guys get too far away here, I
This
know
is where I
you've
was
just been
off,
waiting
I
for the
think,
end of
but-
this meeting. I want to say thank you for your time and commitment to the board, to this district, and to the community. I really appreciated working with both of you. So we have just a little plaque to say thank you for your service to the board. There are not many perks to being a school board member. But when you leave, there is one. You get a lifetime pass for activities. And so you'll have that in a little card here. And so we just want to say thank you for all your service again to our district and to the community. Let's give them a round of applause. And we've got to take your picture
All right.
before you leave.
And real quick, thank you to everybody for their support. Superintendent Christopher, directors, staff, and the board too. It's been an honor to work with you all the last 4 years. Proud of the work we've done. We're in a great trajectory. I think we're in a strongly financial position. We're grades and our graduation rates are all going in the right direction. So excited to see where you all take it, and thank you.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that much, but I wanna thank everybody for allowing me to be a part of this, the community that voted for me to be here, and I've learned a lot, so thank you. I learned to let smart people ask questions. Then I learned.
And now you're out.
I didn't know if that had to happen during the last meeting or not.
That's a camera.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're up. Yes. Right into the hot seats.
Make sure it has your name there.
Oh, yes.
Okay, if we are ready, I will now call the annual meeting to order. Our first order of business is to administer the oath of office to the newly elected and re-elected board members. So at this time, would Carrie Dalby, Mason Koff, and Lindsay Phillips please stand and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of board member in the Muscatine Community School District as now and hereafter required by law? Congratulations.
Don't move that thing.
Okay, now we will elect the board president. I will ask for nominations of board president. A second is not required. If there is only one nomination, we will need a motion and a second to cast a unanimous vote for board president. If there are more nominations, a motion is needed that nominations cease with a second and the ballots are cast. So, do we have any nominations for board president?
I nominate Lindsay Phillips.
Anyone else? Okay. So I need a motion to nominate Lindsay Phillips for board president.
I'll make the motion to nominate Lindsay as the board president and for consent agenda or unanimous consent or whatever.
Unanimous consent.
Yeah.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, welcome, Madam President. Now we will swear you in. Can you please stand? Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of board president in the Muscatine Community School District as now and hereafter required by law? Now I turn the meeting over to you, Madam President.
Thank
To
you.
elect the vice president.
Thank you. We'll use the same process. We'll ask for nominations for vice president. A second is not required if there is only one nomination. We will need a motion and a second to cast a unanimous vote for vice president. If there are more nominations, a motion is needed, and the nomination cease with a second and ballots are cast. Do we have a nomination?
I'd like to nominate John DeBeat, please.
Any other nominations? We'll need a motion
I so move.
and a second.
Second.
All right. Oh, I don't do this part. I did for a second, and then I don't do this part.
Okay, John, do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Iowa, and that you will faithfully and impartially, to the best of your ability, discharge the duties of the office of board vice president, in Muscatine Community School District as now and hereafter required by law?
I do.
Congratulations.
Okay. During this meeting, we will also transact the following annual business as prescribed by law. We can do this in one motion or each item separately. We will be appointing Michelle Jarrett as board secretary, Tom Anderson as board treasurer, designate Midwest One Bank, CBI Trust, Community Bank and Trust, and Iowa Schools Joint Investment Trust as the official depositories of district funds in the amount of $25 million each. We'll appoint Kundal Law Office and Ehlers Law Firm as counsel to represent the school district in legal matters on a time basis, designate the Muscatine Journal as the publication of record, and appoint district compliance officers. Do we need to make a motion on this one? Yes. So we'll need a motion to do it as one, or we can call for them separately.
I'll make the motion to approve all.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, organization of the board. Our board meeting schedule is attached. I think the attachment changed.
I'm sorry.
I think the attachment changed. Oh, the bills and claims schedule. All right.
It's this.
It's the same. It's
Do we need to approve?
No, that's
I
just.
didn't think any of
that's
these were action.
information. Yep.
All right. Were there any questions on that or comments? right, we'll move into board assignments. We will do appointments for these, and we will need a motion to approve them. So appointment to the County Conference Board. There's a nomination, or if someone
I move
holds
to
that now.
nominate Karen.
Do you have a motion for Karen?
For me?
A motion?
A motion?
We have a motion. We need a second.
Second.
Oh,
Carrie-
she said
Carrie,
nominate,
yeah.
so I got
second.
confused.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Carrie made the
Second,
motion. We just
okay.
need a second.
All right.
Yeah.
And then for the Ag Learning Center, or we should do all in favor? Why am I so all over
I do
the
one at a
place?
time.
Do them one at a time?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, okay. All in favor of Karen being nominated to the County Conference Board, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna get this one right. Appointment to the Ag Learning Center Board. We have a motion to,
I nominate Kim for that.
And I second that.
okay. All in favor of Kim representing the Ag Learning Center Board?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Appointment to the Audit Committee.
I'd like to nominate John DeBeat for Audit Committee.
Second.
All right, all in favor of John on the Audit Committee?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those three. Okay, moving into the board target goals report. The students will graduate prepared for post-secondary options. Muscatine schools will utilize resources effectively and equitably, and students will learn in a positive and supportive environment. I don't believe we have any reports on that today.
Nope.
So we'll move right into the superintendent update.
All right, thank you. And Carrie Mason, welcome. It's great to have you aboard. Carrie, you know this, but Mason, remember in education, we love acronyms. And so I'm going to start speaking here, interrupt and say, hey, what does that mean? A couple of weeks ago.
Just as long as we don't have a test on that.
That's right. So never hesitate to ask for clarification. I happened to be out in the community a couple of weeks ago and made a comment about we were having PD. And the person looked at me like I was crazy. And they're like, PD, what are you talking about? I'm like, professional development. Like, of course, right? You would know that. So again, welcome aboard, and just don't hesitate to ask questions as we navigate through this. So, you know, we didn't have another report tonight. So, you know, in terms of information we're giving to you, it's a lighter meeting. There's just a lot of stuff to get through, but it's a long week for you because you're going to be up at conference in Des Moines this week. So a lot of learning for you as we go through this week. So I'm going to run through a few things here, and I'll kind of stop after each one so you can ask some questions. And I'm going to start with calendar options. As you know, we have some options out there. We have really 3 options. The first one is our more traditional calendar like we've had the last several years. Option 2, or B, however you want to phrase it, is a change where we would be doing a 2-hour early release on Fridays. And again, just a reminder that is really driven from our work with the District Environment Committee in some of our results from the DDE over the last several years. Lots of feedback from our staff about more time to collaborate, more time for professional development. You know, we know there's a lot of frequent meetings every week, and so how do we provide that time? So this is a way that we've looked at that, you know, through those conversations. So we've presented that as an option. And then the last one, the option 3, is just a variation on option 1 that I think the first couple of days of school are early release days. So I will tell you right now, and this is open until the end of the month. Right now, it's about 60% in favor of option B. But I would say there are questions around that. So remember, typically we'll bring this to you as an action item in January for approval. But we do this survey, we get feedback, and then based on that, we still may make changes to one of the preferred options to, can we make it even better, right? We've gotten a lot of feedback. I know there's questions around childcare, and those are things our buildings are talking about. Can we do some, after-school care in some way to help, bridge the gap there? We have questions around coaches and activities and what happens on those particular days. There's been questions about MCC, even though MCC doesn't have classes on Friday, so I don't think we'll have any issues there. But again, how do we address some of those questions if in the end we're still at kind of the results that we're at now? And again, that could change. What I can tell you also is if you break it apart by every group of staff, parents, different levels of parents, option 2 is the preferred favorite of all of those. It outscores 1 and 3 in each one of those. So, one thing we worry about is that, staff really feels this way and parents feel another. I would say it's a very, very similar makeup to that. The only difference is the one group that is by far not 100%, but pretty close to 100%, our students prefer option B, okay? So again, we'll provide, we'll finish that survey, we'll look at those results. We also know there's a number of districts around us who've done the very similar thing, and there's ways we can reach out to them and see how they've navigated some of those challenges as well. So questions on calendar?
I'm assuming, number one, that about 100% of the students, those of course are all the older students, that about, they would want to maybe have something like that, but that doesn't help us when we look at the younger students. How young do we give them that survey, or?
That I'm not sure. It probably went out to all.
Yeah.
And typically, we don't go down too low into the elementary, so it's normally like third grade on up. I can't say specifically how that. Now, there's been 100 responses from students, right?
Right.
So, and again, they can get to it in a variety of different ways because it's out on social media. They're just selecting that they are a student, right? So again, I tell you that not because the student voting makes the decision, right? We're going to look at all of those things, but at least between our parents and our staff group, it's very consistent results.
Because, pardon me, because I know others will have questions, but I actually had a couple of emails directly from staff, and I think, as you said, there's all of those questions that need to be answered, but it has a lot to do with, I think, with all the different sports and music and different activities, period, how the kids normally have. What kind of disruption, does that go, into it, or does that actually give the potential of having some more time for some of the students to do some things? That'll probably be a good question.
Yeah, again, this is not my calendar recommendation. This came out of, a lot of work across the district with representatives from all of our buildings, right? And in the end, whether we're here every day or not, to me is, it's really what meets the needs of our staff and our parents. And I know we'll have to navigate whatever, calendar we come across. Certainly elementary will have a perspective on things. Our secondary teachers will have a different perspective. Same with elementary parents versus secondary parents. And so in the end, we kind of look at all of that information. We'll make a recommendation, and then you'll say yay or nay to that. And whatever we approve, then we're going to have to work, we're going to have to navigate that and try to find the best scenario. And then, again, every year we approve a new calendar. So if we choose something different this year and we find out it doesn't work, I can tell you, every year we make adjustments to our calendar based on feedback from parents and staff, right? So that won't change.
Great, thank you.
Will we have access to the comments and stuff that have been turned in? That's what I thought, okay.
Okay, we good on that part? So I want to talk a little bit about DDE survey just briefly. It's closed now. Overall, we have a really good response rate. When we look at our percentages from previous years, we're like right at where we should be. We had a much stronger student response this year, which was good. Again, 2 years ago with some of the legislative changes around surveys, we saw that percentage decrease, and now we're having them, parents agree to that survey at the beginning of the year when they register, so we're seeing that number increase again, which is good. So now's the process where we have to get in there and kind of look through all of that information. And remember, somebody has to go through and redact anywhere there's a name in there, and that just takes time to pull these pieces together. And I don't know if you know this, but Thanksgiving is next week. So there's not a lot of school time between now and our winter break. And so that's why, traditionally we've had that presented to you in January. We give that to the buildings in January as well. You'll get all of the results, all of the comments like we've always done. The buildings will use their professional development time in January to look at those results and start building plans, which translates to, the district then getting feedback from each of our buildings and kind of going through and resetting action plans as well. So again, just wanted to give you a quick update on that, that we have at least closed that survey. Our responses are where they need to be, so we'll start picking through that data. Questions about that? Okay. Then also a very, very brief update on, I had shared with you earlier this year that in my work with Collaborate Muscatine, which I'm a part of and represents a number of leaders throughout the community and different organizations, and that focus of that Collaborate group is really around housing and education. And so we've set a lot of goals and action plans. We have a kind of a community session coming up in December. We did one last year, kind of a community forum around that work. We have another one coming up in December. Part of that work was around perceptions of the school district. And so working with Collaborate, we worked with a third-party provider from Minnesota, somebody I've had experience with, Morris Leatherman. They do these perception surveys all around Minnesota and throughout the Midwest. I know they do a really good job, and we get really good results from that. So we've had the initial information sent to us. Actually, Friday, I'll get a presentation from Peter Leatherman, who runs the company, and he'll walk through that, and I'll share, when we get to that point, I'll share all of that information with you as a board. It certainly will be a part of our community forum as well with Collaborate. But what I can tell you initially, again, I've not heard any of his context yet. I just have his PowerPoint that he's going to talk through. But I can tell you when I hear Peter talk, he has so much information, and he provides a lot of good context and background information to each of these areas that I know will be really helpful for us. Again, my first blush through that, what I can tell you is I'm very pleased with the results. I can tell you that from a community, so they did overall community, and then there's a parent bubble, so we can see how our general community responds versus our parents, which is always an interesting dynamic. But in many ways, they're very close in terms of it's about 75% that see the district as a great or excellent value. Comparing us to neighboring districts, 85%, both of the community and our parents, see us as good or better than our neighboring districts, which I thought was positive. And another really positive piece was just around, in looking at us today as a district, are we better than we were 4 years ago? And our community and our parents, the majority are saying, yes, we are. So I think there's some really good information. There's information about trusted resources for information, how they like to receive communication. Our parents and our community, one message was really strong, and how much they believe in our staff and value our staff across the district. So again, I'm excited to get more information from Peter and share that with you, but just wanted you to know that we have that initial results in, and I feel really good about what we've seen. It's not something you would do every year, but it's something you can come back in 3 or 4 years and do it again as this is kind of the benchmark, and we can see where we're moving from there.
Is this part of that meeting that's going to be coming up in December, you said?
Yes, we'll share some of the results then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure I tell you guys I'm on the housing part of that area of it. And last time that we had done this, last year was it? I think
We
they
did it
have-
last
yeah.
December as well.
It's a very, very excellent presentation, so I believe that not only with our school board, but I recommend that anybody from the public that would want to go to it, you are welcome to be able to be a part of it. It just is a good, like it says, collaborate for Muscatine, show us what we can do, positive, coming up to make things better and bring more people, to our community.
Yeah, it's a great group, and I've said for a long time, we have everything in this community we need to move our district forward in a positive direction. It's just a matter of aligning all the efforts, and it's been a pleasure to work with these other community leaders to really, as we talk about our greatest challenges, housing very much so, right? How do we move everybody in the right direction? And I feel like we're doing some really good work that we're excited to share with you. Any other questions about the perception survey?
How were the surveys received?
So it is a phone-based survey.
Okay.
So they have a bank of numbers that they call. It's cell phone, it's landline. They only had, and this is typical of a Morris Leatherman survey, a 6.5% decline rate. And I think we had 500 community responses and 400 parent responses. Now again, the exact breakdown of how those two overlap, I'll know more when I hear from Peter. But what makes this work is when they call, they leave a message and they say, here's who we are, we're working on behalf of the district, we would like your perceptions of the school district, and people respond, right? I can tell you it's always been a very high response rate. And so they try that, 2 or 3 times and again, leave those messages. And again, on average, people spent almost 15 minutes on the phone with these people, right? So they've given some time, and so there's a lot of good information that I think will be really helpful for us. And a lot of positive pieces there to share. Okay? All right, so I want to talk a little bit about retirement incentives. So since I've been here, in the 6 years I've been here, we've consistently, every other year, done one. So, and in between we don't. And I would say every year there's some conversation about, should we do it every year? And I hear from some teachers. I've met with some teachers this fall, back in October, who, would like to see us do one this year. So I just shared kind of, and again, I think, communication and clarity, I felt like when we finished last year, I try to make sure it's really clear, hey, we're doing it this year, we're not going to do it next year. How that's received isn't always the same, right? So it's good to have those conversations, but also provide a lot of background information on how we make these decisions, right? And it's an incentive. It's not a benefit, and a benefit is a guarantee. It's in the contract. We're going to do this every year. Here's how we're going to do it. It's not that way. It is designed to be an incentive. And again, the biggest piece of that, and why you do this, is because you're going to incentivize a teacher who's close to retirement to retire. Ideally, you're either not going to replace that position, or you're going to replace it with a newer teacher. I will tell you, just in the last couple of years, because of changes to teacher salary and the minimum thresholds, right, that gap has narrowed, right? So we don't see quite as much savings on that. And we also don't restrict principals from hiring experienced teachers. So we're not necessarily always getting brand new teachers. So again, we have to weigh those options out. You see the savings to the kind of the general fund, and the expense of the incentive is in the management fund. And if you remember back to last year, we had a lot of really good conversation about that. In the past, we'd done 50,000, we reduced it to 25,000. Then, we talk about, should we open it up to people less than 25 years of experience, 20 years, 15, what would that look like? How many people? And again, we have to typically have this out and decided in January, so that you have to give staff so long if they decide to do it to change their mind, right? And we know that needs to happen kind of by the end of the year. So last year, given all of the factors and the impact to the tax levy, so it's a property tax on the management fund. We recommended the 25,000. If you remember last year, our overall levy increase went up about 40 cents, and I think that portion of our retirement incentive was about 20 cents of that. So, I mean, there is an impact to doing that, and the challenge to doing that every year is how, you know, again, when budgets continue to be tight, can we do that every year? Even though we may see some savings to that, you know, we have to keep in mind the burden on taxpayers, correct? So I think this year in particular is more challenging. It's even more challenging today than it was a month ago when I talked to those teachers. So, you know, what's changed since then? Well, certainly we know our enrollment's going to be down again, right? We know we're going to be on some type of budget guarantee. We don't know what that's going to be yet. So remember, budget guarantee allows us to more or less keep level funding from the previous year, but that's funded through, that's a property tax that's put on there, right? And so we know there's going to be something. We don't know exactly what that's going to be. We also know I've heard from the, you know, in preparation for this legislative session, that the state's revenue is declining, expenses are going up, they're going to look to cut costs, right, in some way. We're hearing that, you know, one of the, you know, we may have a group come out at 0% SSA. Will we end up there? Probably not, but we're definitely not going to get 3%. We might not get 2%, right? So now you've got, you know, declining enrollment, smaller SSA than normal, right? Budget guarantee. And then the other big factor is we know there's going to be some type of property tax reform. We don't know what that's going to look like. We know they're talking about the management fund, right? They've talked about limiting the management fund. And so we also know that those decisions about SSA, about property tax reform, aren't going to happen by January. They're not going to happen by February. So let's say even if we wanted to do something this year, I don't even know what I could recommend to you given all of these different constraints, right? So again, my continued recommendation would be, we did it last year, we're gonna wait until next year. We'll have a clearer picture of where we end up this year. But it's certainly something I wanna share, and I told the teachers I met with that I would share that information with you, get your feedback and perspective on that before we move forward. So with that, I'll let you ask questions or make comments.
I do remember having a very robust conversation about this last year, and I've spoken a little bit with a couple of teachers too about what the process looks like and moving forward. And I think you've mentioned all of the things that I've thought of too with our management fund, and we pay some premiums and things out of there too, and nothing's going down in that world either. So that's a fund that's directly funded by taxpayers, and so that does make me nervous anytime we start messing with that and we're just asking the same people to pay over and over again. Yet I understand the benefits of it too. I understand the incentive and seeking that and the planning that goes into it. But I do, you know, the concerns too that were mentioned. I think this year it would feel a little irresponsible and maybe premature to make some decisions. So that's just my initial thought as I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, I agree too, because, you know, a lot of uncertainty now moving forward, especially as you did mention, Clint, none of us knows what will be the SSA this coming year. And with over $200 million in red, meaning in losses in the state revenue, I suspect even if we get the 2%, which I doubt that, will be even something unusual or unbelievable. So given the uncertainty and the unknowns that we have in front of us, I do agree that we need to hold on that and up until we know more and so on, and then talk about that again.
I do think we have a couple of years too, and then really we're out of those years where class sizes spike again. So we're going to lose a few more of our larger classes. So as enrollment goes down, funding in our general fund also goes down.
Correct.
But it also allows opportunity for right sizing. So I think it's worth a conversation again. And I know one of the questions that was raised is, could we get a schedule? And I wish that answer could be yes, but I think until we know what all of those things look like, we can't even say every other year, because next year could look worse.
I think
Right.
that's right. I think I've tried to be clear that the intent is to look at it every other year, and we've been able to do that. I just don't know what they'll do this year in the session that could change that. So it's hard to make that a guarantee, but it's certainly something we look at. And again, when we do that, we're gonna bring you a recommendation, and there could be a lot of variables to that. We looked at a lot of different options last year, and we'll do that again the next time we do it, right? So that depending on, do we increase it down to people with 20 years or whatever, and and what that amount is, right? And we'll, and Tom does a great job of helping kind of identify what that impact might be to the management fund. And again, especially this year, we're not gonna have any of those, we're not gonna have any of that information in a timely manner to make decisions on what will happen this year, which is really the, I think the greatest challenge.
I think obviously I would like to see all teachers get the incentive because there aren't a ton of perks in teaching, but considering this is, as our habit or whatever has been, that this is an off year, and with the unsettled money situation, I think it probably is, would be very difficult for us to offer anything this year without knowing, with so many variables, I guess, is what I'm saying, which I know is tough, but hopefully next year will be better, I guess. I mean, and I think teachers overall have kind of assumed that it's every other year, knowing that it's not a guarantee every other year. It's certainly not a guarantee every other year, but with this being the off year and all the other variables, it would be very tough to try to do that, I think.
And I think, what I heard in my conversations was maybe the perception that because we dropped it to a lower amount, that we were gonna do it every year. Mm-hmm. I certainly didn't intend it that way, but that's what was heard. So, and these are outstanding teachers, right? It's not about necessarily them individually, but we do have to look at that, the impact overall, from a funding perspective.
I'm glad you said that part about they are outstanding teachers, and and so it is hard because in a way you feel a little bit like you're letting them down.
Listen, I get 100%. Like they've dedicated 30 plus years to the district. They're outstanding teachers. We certainly want to respect that and celebrate that, and it's just we can't necessarily financially do that every single year.
I was just going to say that I really appreciate you, reminding us that it is an incentive and it's not a reflection of, the value that those educators bring to our district and the students that they serve every day. And I think if we could, we would do a lot of things financially different for our educators, but we're not in a position where we can unfortunately do that. So thank you for bringing that information and that perspective. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Any other thoughts or questions about that? Okay. Rolling through my list here. I do also just want to take a minute to, we do have the conference later this week. You as a board, I think, know this, but sharing this with the community as well. We will be presenting at the session this year on Thursday afternoon. It's the after lunch session, which isn't always great because people are, they've just eaten lunch, right? Mm-hmm. So we'll see what our turnout is like, but we're presenting on our community conversations and just how that got to be, how we leverage that. Tammy Drawbaugh, as you know, works for IASB, She was here as board president when we started that work, and it is unique across the state. Although she's saying more and more people are hearing about it and starting to do something similar. So we'll be presenting on that. Right now, just as a FYI, I have John and Lindsay on stage with me. I don't have any, you don't have any slides that are dedicated to you, but any of the, any other board members, if you come to the session, and we want you to, we'll have a spot right in the front row for you, because there will be a time towards the end where there's some dialogue, and we want you to talk about, because you all get an opportunity to be a part of that. So, you know, there's some slides, I'll kind of run through some background, and then especially when we get into Q&A, there's going to be board members present. They're going to want to ask questions of board members, right? So we just want to make sure that if you're there, you're available for that. So we'll, like I said, we'll try to reserve some spots there in the front row. Any questions about that? I know Tammy has some ideas for some other presentations in the future, and not with board necessarily, so don't get too nervous. But there is a lot of good work that's happening in our district, and she just want to make sure that we're sharing some of that. So to me, this was a great kind of first step for that. So I'm looking forward to that. Had the opportunity tonight to be at the Ag Center ribbon cutting. It was, again, it was well attended. They've done a great job with that facility, the Friends of FFA, the community support to build that additional animal facility is great. It's going to add more opportunities for our kids and continue to enhance a program that's leading in the state. So pretty excited to do that. Last week, we also had professional development. After the end of that, we always send out surveys and get feedback from our staff. Feedback was very positive. We share that also with the buildings and building leadership teams, so they'll take that information, and if they need to make adjustments or do something different the next time, they have some of that information. So that is the end of my report. Any questions from the board?
Okay.
See, I told you there wasn't a presentation, but I just talked a lot.
Yeah. That's okay. All good information. Thank you. We'll move into our consent agenda, and the following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Education and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a director so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence. So our employment recommendations, approve the district committees, project search roles and responsibilities fiscal year 26, and approve policies with no minimal or policies required by law changes. What are the wishes of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, action items is to approve the change order for the Muscatine Community School District Central Phase 2 Auditorium Renovation, new projector and projector screen in the amount of $57,551.85. We have a motion for that.
I'll make the motion to approve the change order.
We'll need a second.
Oh, I want you to come up because I want to hear about it. Yeah.
You better make a second then, Karen.
We do need a second
We
first.
need a second
Oh,
first.
well, then I'll say second.
All right, and we have Chris coming to tell us about it. Maybe.
Well, this was in the initial bid as an alternate, and at that time, we decided not to fund it because it was pretty expensive, so we got it down, which is good, but it's basically a brand-new projector and brand-new screen that will all be automated from the sound and lighting booth.
Which is very nice.
It's very nice, yes.
It's very nice.
Yeah. And just know that, as usual, when you say anything about the theater, I say, I'm very happy. So thank you.
Good, I'm glad, Karen.
Chris, I have a question, like if we would like to go and tour now the place, do we need to arrange that with you? Is there someone there all the time? What's the procedure for
I'd say
us to go?
reach out to me, and I can
Okay.
work with Chris, and we can get some.
Okay,
They're doing cleaning.
Yeah, we're cleaning, waxing the floors right now, so it's, you know, but we're real close. We have a few more small things to do, but we got our occupancy on Friday, so we're still on schedule, kind of December 1st is when we'll be open for the public and for our school events, so we're excited. It's gonna be great.
So when you say that, are we going to be able to have some kind of like open house or something so that people can actually, you know, the general public tour then?
Yeah, well, we'll have a grand opening like we have done with the other facilities. We haven't really talked too much about an open house, but that's something we can certainly look at doing as well. But we do have, I think we have 5 or 6 elementary holiday concerts in there here in December, so it's gonna start getting used here real quick.
But Chris, you're working on a plan for a large ribbon cutting like we've done in the past, working with some of our fine arts department to, you know, have choir, have some, you know, instrumental stuff there. So we can really show the space as well, which I think will be good. People, again, I think are gonna be our community's gonna be really proud of this space.
Have we had any,
the Art Alliance group, that like 15 different type of groups, that we've actually talked about if there's even some way that we could be a part of that process of the, you know, like almost like a grand opening or whatever you want to call it, because we got a lot of different music folks, you know, and theater and all of the history things that might be very complimentary to be able to help with that.
on top of the elementary schools that are doing, have we had any community members starting to book anything in there?
Yeah, a little bit. We don't let them book out too far in advance. We kind of have a date range just because, you know, we want our staff to be able to use it first. So we have a few things though, but nothing large scale or anything like that yet.
I just think that once they see the quality of the theater, I think that you know, more people will try to take advantage of using it.
We did lighting training last week. It's amazing. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not, you know, it's not really my realm, but
I've made you a convert.
It's super cool. I mean, it's really neat. It's really neat. So we got sound training later this week. So we got a bunch of our staff coming to those things. So it's going to be really nice.
Are we going to have somebody that's just dedicated to running that, or
yeah,
being the
well,
management?
it'll be we have somebody that has a Schedule C for that area, and then he'll be kind of in charge of ensuring people are trained to use the equipment. Obviously, you know, the equipment's very expensive, so we're gonna, you know, we'll make sure that we have a process to make sure people know what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, whenever we talk about our facility upgrades, remember we're using our SAVE dollars, our bonded dollars for the 1% sales tax from the state. We can only use it for facilities. It can't be used for anything else. We've also had some very significant community donations for this project as well, which I'll share with you at a later date. But again, we've had some, you know, when we had to reject some of those bids because we didn't have the money, like many things, our community steps up and helps to provide some of those things. So again, I think we're in a great position, and we're very fortunate to have it finished the way that we do.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the change order, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next item is to approve the casting vote for MBAEA Board of Education Director District 5, and they have casted their vote for Maria, I should have practiced this name, Riccardi, thank you, Ramsa? All right, we'll need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second.
All right.
I do have a question on it.
Yeah.
Now, does this mean that we're approving as a group? Because I see the thing that says I being a member of the board of directors. or are we each supposed to be taking and filling this out for it to be sent?
I think it's just our motion sends it forward
And
as
then
a group.
there are other districts in this particular AEA region that are also having to take action on it as well.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion section of our agenda are our November financials.
Okay, so welcome Carrie and Mason to the school board. Welcome back, Lindsay. So tonight is my October financial presentation. So this is a typical report. On the second page for you new members, you'll see a list of finance-related agenda, action, informational items that are going to occur throughout the school year. And then some important dates to remember in bold at the bottom of that second page. So we'll talk more about that as we get closer. That February board meeting is or work session, I should say, is typically regarding the budget, and it's all things budget. Unless somebody tries to steal my thunder, it'll be mostly budget stuff. But anyway, so that's the second page. The next page is just a reconciliation of our deposits at our financial institutions to our all of our funds that we have there, and comparison to the prior month. And so you will notice that in the general fund, management fund, and PEPL, Fund 36 increased significantly. That's because we all pay property taxes in September, so that comes to the schools in October, and so that saw a large, we get about 50% of our property taxes in October. So the next page is treasurer's report. We're actually reporting beginning fund balances plus all those revenues in those local, state, and federal sources, and then expenditures in those functional categories. And then I compare the fund balance at the end of the month to last year at the same time. Nothing significant to report other than, in the capital project funds, we have three, or we did have three. We have two usually. Fund 33 is that sales tax revenue. Fund 34 is completely spent, and then Fund 36 is physical plant and equipment levy. So those balances are down, which we would know that because we are finishing up some major projects and use our capital projects for those funds, or for those projects. So, that debt service fund, you might, if you're asking about that, that is just, we have to pay we borrowed, and we have to pay that out of Fund 40. So we transfer that money from Fund 33 to Fund 40 to pay the principal and interest on those bonds twice a year. So that's what the debt service fund balance is. So I also included a published budget to actual report. So it's only through October, so we're just a little over a quarter of the way through the school year. We spent about 25% of our published budget. So that's something I bring to the board probably about 3 times a year. It's what this is. The published budget is what was approved in April of 2025, but as we get rolling in the fiscal year, and I monitor our budget through a line item budget process in each fund, and so we'll keep an eye on that and then potentially doing a budget amendment by the end of the fiscal year. What else do I have in this report? So then there's a general fund report, general fund revenues by different categories broken down into local, state, and federal, and then an expenditure report as compared to the prior year through October. So let's see, on the agenda next month, we're going to be talking about our school budget review committee applications for additional spending authority. And so I will encourage you as you go to convention this week to hopefully attend one of the school finance sessions, 101, 201, or 301. Once you attend those and once you attend the whole convention and you come back and you have questions about finance, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to sit down with you to talk about what you learned, what you heard at convention about school finance, but I'm happy to do that with you guys. So, and then, yeah, so you'll hear all kinds of acronyms like Clint was referring to, and we'll be talking more about that next month in December about spending authority. So, what else? So, on the meeting schedule, you'll notice that 2 board members have to review the bills every month, or every month. We do that electronically, and so I will be reaching out to you once I see your name on the list the first time. I'll reach out to you, but typically that's an email from our district, or our accounting supervisor, Rebecca, sends that out, but the first time I'll send it out to you just so to go over how to look at the bills, and then if you have additional questions, yeah, you can just reach out. So anyway, that is my report for the month. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them now, or like I said, reach out to me when you get back from convention, and I'm happy to meet with you. So welcome again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Announcements and upcoming events. As we've mentioned, November 19th through 21st, the school board directors will attend the annual Iowa School Board Convention in Des Moines. November 26th through 28th is our Thanksgiving holiday. There will be no school on those days. December 8th will be our next community conversation starting at 5:30, and then the regular board meeting will follow in here at 6:15. Are there any other announcements? Anything the board would like to update?
Just remember, as we finish and adjourn tonight, before you leave, we're getting a new picture.
Yes. All right, we will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.